Hello to all you beautiful people out there, Regnilla over here bringing you yet another multiplayer Monster Hunter Free Unite episode. For today's episode, we're doing a quest that I don't recommend doing on your own. This one can be absolutely brutal on you, and it seems so easy, and then it just gradually gets worse and worse and worse. So for this particular episode, we are dealing with a Kizu, we're dealing with a Shogun Scimitar, we're dealing with a Plesioth, and finally we're dealing with a Diablos. So 4 monsters this time. Usually it is 3, but in this case, we got 4. And this could be a brutal quest by yourself because you're one after another. Like 3 is already bad, but once you add a 4th in, you're really testing your stamina limits. Now granted, since this is a multi-monster quest, the monsters themselves are weaker in health, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, highly recommend doing this one in a group. And for this group, I want to just make mention here that we have 2 things. Thing 1 is we have 2 people that are powerhouses, so the ones that are dealing damage, and so those 2 would be myself and Vanguard. And then we have 2 people that are doing status effects, and so that is Aurora and actually I might have got my people mixed up. No, actually I didn't. So the other one would be Jin. So the Great Sword user is Vanguard. I'm trying to go by the icons here, but the Great Sword and Longsword icons do look kind of similar, so you can forgive me just a little bit for getting them mixed up at times. But as you can see with Jin, Jin is using a longsword as well, but it is a status ailment longsword, and in a group that could be super helpful. Because if you have one person that's using a status element longsword or just any status element weapon, and another person that is using a bowgun, which usually, especially in the older Monster Hunter games, is usually more geared towards status effects, you know, you can have a great advantage against monsters. And so for the Kizu especially, so if you go, Jin's pretty much done for. So in G rank, these monsters hit really hard. And if you're looking at the character list on the left, Jin had like between 60 to 70% health remaining, and well, Jin got wrecked. So any advantage, especially with status effects, will be incredibly helpful against any G rank monsters in groups. So, you know, be a team player. If other people are running the big guns, it might be your responsibility to run a status effect. And with the Kizu gone, we now have the Shogun Scimitar, and we made a mistake with our traps again. So I mentioned this last time, and we didn't learn our lesson, and the 2 traps went off at the same time because they're too close together. And it's not like one person set a trap and then another person just immediately set another trap right next to it. I believe it was myself and Vanguard that set these traps, and we pretty much set them at the same time, not paying attention to where we were. And I believe I was looking around and I see Vanguard next to me setting up a trap, and I'm just going, shit. So there's 1 trap wasted, and in groups it's not that bad if you waste a trap. It really does suck, but in single player you really don't want to be wasting any traps. And of these 4 monsters, the 2 that's worth being concerned about at all times is the Plesioth and the Diablos at the end. So those 2 are the hardest hitters, and the Plesioth isn't as fast, but it hits a little bit harder. And then you have the Diablos, who doesn't quite hit as hard, but is still really fast. And the reason why you should be concerned about those is not for yourself, which, you know, you want to be concerned for yourself in these games, but for your teammates, because you want to be looking after your teammates. Have some life powders on hand. That way, if you see your teammate in a pickle, you can heal them up, and maybe they will live through a debilitating strike. Now, with Plesioth here, frankly, I'm just gonna be really honest here. I hate this area. Like, this area, I like the concept of arenas where just monsters get thrown in. It kind of adds to the lore of what happens when a monster gets captured. They just get thrown into an arena, so gladiator style. But Plesioth here just sucks because he likes to stay in the water. He's a water-based monster, and it is not until Monster Hunter Tri until you can swim underwater, and even then, I believe it's Monster Hunter Tri and Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate are the only two Monster Hunter games where you can actually swim underwater. And so that really blows in games like this where you really want to take some chunks out of Plesioth, but he's trolling you by hiding out in the water. But thankfully, once Plesioth gets out of the water, we just go nuts. So I believe a trap is up right now, and then eventually I think he will get paralyzed as well. And it's when a Plesioth is paralyzed, like right here. So when the Plesioth gets paralyzed, just go to town. Get your team, go nuts, because you don't want to get that guy in the water, and worse, you don't want that guy doing hip checks and knocking it around, not just one, but several of you, because that would be a whole lot of not good. And that's really the thing you want to be concerned about in multiplayer hunts, is any attacks that don't just hit you. And the bigger the sort of attack, so like the bigger the hitbox, the more you should be concerned. So with Diablos, his charge is obviously the one thing that you want to be afraid of. I mean, he has the attack where he digs underground, but that can be avoided if everyone just scatters. So if a lot of you are in a straight line for the Diablos, he could just mow through each and every single one of you. In Free Unite's worse because he does more damage, and even then he can get you and some of your teammates if you, let's say, are sharpening your weapons or taking a health potion, because he's already done quite a bit of damage to you guys. But another thing, and especially something that you want to consider in a team, is sleeping. Now, if you were paying attention, you might have noticed that the Diablos had been put to sleep, and someone decided to wake them up. So that is one of the worst things you can do in your team if you're trying to cooperate in a situation. When a monster is being put to sleep, stop attacking, because that monster is going to get bombed. It's not something that is an accident. You don't just accidentally put a monster to sleep unless you have a plan, or at least that's any competent hunter. I mean, if you needed a break or something and you like to sharpen your weapon, okay, maybe that can be an excuse for putting a monster to sleep. But in the other cases, it's going to be a sleep bomb, almost guaranteed. 99% of the time, it's going to be a sleep bomb. So when that monster gets put to sleep, stop attacking. Don't wake the monster up. Don't be that guy. Pay attention to what the monster is doing and who's throwing stuff. Like me, trying to throw, well, flash bombs and utterly failing. But aside from that, teamwork is the key thing here. Look after your teammates. I know I bitch about this a lot, but it's very important that you look after your teammates so you can complete the quest without too much trouble. But that's going to do it for me and this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in any of my other content, be sure to click on one of those annotations. They'll be featured at the end of this video. And I will see you guys again in the next video. Take care, people.